What's up, everybody? We are
Going
back.
on?
It's been a while. Been a
I've
couple
missed you.
weeks.
I missed you
I
guys. How are we
missed you.
doing?
Doing good. Obviously, we got somebody else on set. We got Josh Hernandez, the Sparrow Hawk, the mind, the brains, the back behind the whole operation. You guys are a franchise. You're a detailing operation.
Yes, sir.
That owns a franchise as well.
Yes, sir.
And then guys can buy into the franchise. And tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
So we are, like you said, a national franchise and,
Yeah.
and specializes in aircraft detailing. That's our thing. That's our focus. That's the market that we go after the most, and it really is just coming from most of our guys' background. We're all, for the most part, aviation backgrounds, genuine aviators.
Yeah, and see, and that's always interesting. I may know a little bit more than I'm leading on to. We might be talking some business while you're here, but we're not gonna delve into that here on the show. But obviously, we've been spending a lot of time together. Some people probably can figure that out. That there may be a big announcement. There may be a big announcement coming in the next week or two.
You've been hanging out with a lot of planes there, Dustin. A lot
I
of planes.
have. Kind of like, yes, just the beginning. That's right. But anyway, so we figured bringing Josh in today. Our topic is going to be on sticker shock, and I think it's a great topic. And having Josh here, I'm sure these guys that own these jets and big planes, I mean, even if they have an endless amount of money or an unlimited budget, I think people are still price conscious at times, and you could still get sticker shock.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think they got money for a reason.
Yeah,
a lot of times they're the biggest penny pinchers, and you think, it's $40, I'll get that.
Yeah,
they'll combat the $10 fee.
It's still a sell. It's still a sell, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, and I think that we all kind of have this thought in our mind that we go do the big boats or the planes or whatever, that these guys are just an open checkbook, and couldn't be further from the case.
For the most part. I mean, you got those guys that are kind of just nonchalant about everything. And I almost think in their minds, it's like, it's tax write-off. We actually need a little bit more. You know
right,
what I mean? But for the most part, that's not the case.
No, it's not. And now I think that it becomes easier once you build the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done work for them and they realize, hey, this guy's going to take care of it, then it does become that easy sell, like, hey, whatever it is, basically just tell me what it is and I'll pay it. But let's back up, right? Let's talk about sticker shock. Okay. We want to dive deep into this. And I know our young detailers, I know our new guys out there, or if they haven't experienced it, as they start to change their pricing and their pricing evolves with their detailing business, they're going to experience customers that have sticker shock. Nick, how often does this happen to you, and kind of how do you deal with that, and what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of like when I saw sticker shock, right? I'm like, first thing I think of is like dealerships, right? Like that's where it sort of came from, when you see the price literally on a sticker on the window.
That's right.
And you're like, yeah, I'm not paying that, or you know what I mean? I feel like that's where it sort of stems from. And now with everything going on with dealerships and the markups and stuff, I think those customers are even more cost conscientious, if that's the right way to word it.
I'm gonna go with it. Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to keep an eye on, like, okay, hey, if you're charging this and they're charging that, is the value there? And I think that's the key word there, is that value, right? No matter what, they see a ceramic coating or they see a detail for a certain price, are you going to be able to convey that value to the customer?
Yeah, and you think about it, here's the reality, is most of the times a customer, they don't know what this should cost anyway. They may have an idea of what they want to spend, but they don't know. There's no book that you open up to page 36 and say, okay, full details in Wisconsin, they are $285. No, there is no book. So it's up to you to show the value. It's up to you as the detailer to say, this is what I charge, and here's why I charge what I charge. And sticker shock's going to happen. Now, we all know as detailers, most of us start out as cheap, very, very cheap to get all the business. Was that true for you, Josh, when you were starting?
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of somewhat of the plan, if you will, even on the aviation side in comparison to the other aircraft detailing companies that are out there.
More like established ones that had already been there.
But the good thing is that with our structure, it's kind of cheating, because with a group effort, if you will, amongst all the franchise locations that we have, we're able to get our stock much cheaper. Even if we're coming in, we're actually still at the same profit
margins are there. You're just driving costs down so you can get competitive in pricing. All right, so let's talk about so when you start cheap, when you start out inexpensive or cheap, the idea is that we're trying to get all the business we can. We're trying to pay the rent. We're basically trying to put food on the table for the family every night. And we got to be working. If we're not working, then we're not making money. If that's new in the business. So there becomes a point where I feel like you make that transition. You realize, hey, I'm probably not making any money. I'm probably just bringing in enough to pay the bills and maybe scrape by. Checking account's always right at zero, and I'm not growing. So then I need to up my prices. We're not going to get into the whole price thing. I think Nick and I was talking that maybe we dive into that a little bit next week.
Yeah.
But you raise your price, and when you raise your price, then the sticker shock comes. And basically, a customer, when they have sticker shock, it's like they have an idea of what they thought something might cost, and you come in about 5 times higher than that.
Yeah. 5 times, man. That's
yeah,
yeah.
And it happens, right? And then it's up to you to explain or I guess show the value of the service that you're providing to put that customer back down and say, okay, hey, listen, yeah, you're expecting to spend $200. Yes, we charge $1,000 for this service. Here's what we do and why we do it, and then if that customer if it's not in their budget at all, that doesn't mean they're not your customer. Okay. Maybe you should find something that's a little bit more budget friendly, a service that they're willing to pay for. So a customer comes in willing to spend $200, you're at $1,000. You can probably squeeze out $350 to $400 of them. Anyway, so maybe we transition that to an interior service, or just split it and don't do the full in and out on whatever we're doing. So I think that there's common ground that can be met between you and the customer. You just have to acknowledge that, and a lot of that's determining their budget.
Mm-hmm. So they already have that budget in your head. You're playing that guessing game, right?
You are, absolutely.
Like in the envelope, you don't know what they want to spend. But we got good, better, best, right? So we're going to start usually at the better or the best, right? Like, hey, this is what I know your car needs. And then as soon as you read their face and you're saying, hey, look, man, they got a little bit of that sticker shock. Look, we got a good for you. If you don't want to be at that, if you don't want the best, that's okay. We're still going to keep you as a customer. We've got a good option for you. It's going to look better. But now they have it in their head. They're like, man, that ceramic coating would have made my car look amazing, right?
That's right.
Cool. We'll just do, you want to do some sort of spray 6 months, something quick, something inexpensive.
Something that gets them by, gets their feet wet in the game. Yeah.
And we got to give them that option. I think that was one of our biggest things that we brought in this last year. And it's been a really good sort of conversion where they try that and then they go for a 4-year coating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what we've done to combat that is we've made pretty much everything a la carte. So we start with our standard detail, right? And that's like our standard is what we want every vehicle, every boat, every plane that we deal with that or maybe dealing with to that point, right? That's our standard. Everything else is sold on top of that. So correction is sold on top of that. Protection is sold on top of that. Everything like, your headlights, your engine bays, things like that are everybody's are add-ons. But all of our protection, all of our corrections add on. All we want to do is get the vehicle clean at first. Then we're going to upsell you. And we let that customer kind of build the price along the way. And I think that helps reduce some of our sticker shock. Yes, we still have it. But I think that build your price mentality, whereas Nick, you say, hey, here are our 3 packages. Pick the one that fits for you, which I love that too. I think that concept works excellent. But ours is here's our base, and then we sell you everything else on top of that. And we're trying to show value.
Let me ask you this real quick on that. Yeah. I know you said standard, right? What would be the percentage of people that just, hey, give me whatever that standard package is? Is that like 50%, 80% without those extra add-ons?
No, it's minimal. People pay on the standards, probably 30% of the people that do business here. But we have a really good sales team too. And Gabby leads that, and she does a fantastic job of making sure that the customers are getting, that we're showing enough value in the services that we provide to sell you on something else. And also at check-in, when a vehicle shows up, it's another opportunity to say, hey, we have you down for the standard one, and then maybe we need to upgrade this, or you may want to think about ceramic coating the windshield, maybe the car seat in the back, something like that.
And once you already got them there, you know what I mean? Then that's
the money that they came. Yeah. So once they show up, right, the money that they were already intending to spend is spent, right? So if just say the standard's $300, right? $400, whatever, that $300 is spent in their mind. So to add an extra $100 or $200 or $300 on at that point is a lot easier than in that initial phone call where you're trying to get them from 300 to 600 or 600 to 1,000 or so forth, so on.
It's kind of almost like bartering 101. I mean, when you think about it, like if you ever, I don't know if y'all did, but like the Craigslist days where you're looking for something and you get the person to meet up with you.
Absolutely.
Once you're met up, then you really start negotiating and hitting them, with negotiating rather than on the phone. And they're like, yeah, click.
Well, yeah, because there's only so on the phone, like you can't read each other. You can't, there's the gap, and you don't know if this person's serious. When they're in person, that's when the sale happens, but you still have the sticker shock mentality. You still have the customer that comes in and says, holy shit, I was expecting to spend $25 on an interior detail, not $225. And that's a big difference, right?
But also letting them walk away. You know what I mean? Being like, look, understand that's not the customer for you. And you know what? For me, it's also that intrinsic value, right? Obviously I know Dustin, your shop has amazing customer service, right? So does ours. And then you're going to be like, hey, the time, the effort, that, you know what I mean? They're walking into a shop
that's the experience that happens
gives them that they know, okay, wow, this is a professional place. This is where I want to go. Hey, guess what? You want to go spend a little bit less. You're going to go into some scary situation where you might not feel comfortable taking your car, your boat, your plane.
Right.
That's where we capitalize in the aviation market, especially with our business structure and our business model is yes, there's those guys who don't know aircraft. They're not experienced that nature, but hey, I'll pull a pressure washer out and get after it and do it for a couple $100 while they're charging, 600 or some odd. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But you're paying for our experience.
Absolutely.
You're paying for our knowledge. You're paying for our certifications, our Federal Aviation Administration certifications of, hey, we won't damage your aircraft. You're not going to be paying for corrosion, maintenance
down the road. These additional costs, and so that's the value, right? That's the baked in value that you say, hey, this is why. And learning how to do that without saying, this is a typical detailer's response. Okay, I'm going to charge you $1,200 to correct and coat this car. Oh my God, I was thinking I could do this for $300. Oh, but we're going to use a root pass polisher and a 6.5-inch yellow pad with some gold pad and 3,000 sandpaper. And like that's not value. They don't care.
No.
They don't care. Value is, no matter what, when you leave this shop, you're going to be happy and satisfied. We are building a relationship with you for a lifetime. This is not slap some shit on your car and pat you on the butt on the way out. This is, we're building a relationship with you. This is, we're going to take care of everything, any issues that may come up. We're going to deal with this professionally. You can look out there in my shop and see everybody's professional. You can see exactly how we're going to communicate to you. You're going to get exactly what you paid for and probably just a little bit more. Just trust us. And by the way, you can use Detail Bookie to send that invoice over, and it's itemized and it's real pretty, So sticker shock's going to happen. You brought up a good point, Nick. Customer is not your customer. Customer comes to spend $25, you're $225. There's no way you're going to find middle ground. Yeah. How do you tell them buy, man? How do you tell them? I
let them know if they want to get a car wash, you can get the car wash.
Yeah,
get the car cleaned up a little bit. But at the same time, you're like, look, again, this is sort of where we're at, right? If it's a customer that's really just adamant or just you don't want it to turn into a negative experience. You're going to end it on a positive and be like, look, hey, this is kind of where we're at. This is kind of how we value our work. Look, you've got our number, take our card, book it online. Here's a discount code for, 5%, which isn't going to be that middle ground, right?
No, but it's an olive branch. Yeah.
Go ahead and check out the other local places and see where you're most comfortable, because that's the most important part. That's the spiel. That's the talk. That's how you're going to, sort of go about it with the customer.
It is.
Do you ever refer anybody to, like, say, you know what I mean? Hey, there's someone I know that I trust and I've built a relationship business to business. Yeah. Hey, he's more in your price point, or she's more in your price point.
Yeah.
I think I do that. You know what I mean? We get those guys, hey, how much are your auto details? And when I'm over here saying, hey, we're not going any less than 220, but what?
Right.
But I got someone I know, I trust, and I guarantee he'll do quality work for a better, more in your price budget.
Nick, do you guys refer? Yeah. So we do too. Yeah, we do too. And then so along with prices, like schedule. So if our schedule's full, and someone comes in and says, I need this done right now, we refer out to some of the other local shops that we know can handle it, like, more of a pull-up service. And then of course with pricing. But now listen, I'm a detailer. I got to pay. I've got to buy groceries. It's Friday. I got to buy groceries today. I need money. I got to tell this customer, that's willing to pay $25. No, and this took a long time for me to understand. And matter of fact, my dad was probably the biggest help in teaching me this, that not every customer is your customer, not every job's your job. Here's the reality. You take on that $25 interior detail and you're going to work 6 or 8 hours on that thing. The customer's probably still not going to be happy with it. Mm-hmm. You have lost money on that job. Then you've taken that job, it's tied you up on time. You might have missed another job that you could have worked on and actually made money at. So satisfying your, just taking that quick fix to get the dollar, it can cost you, and most of the time will cost you in the long run. So just taking that on the chin and saying, okay, we're so far apart budget to what we charge, and this customer is definitely not my customer. Let them walk, let them go, make them feel good about it. We're not firing the customer. We're just your budget doesn't align. Okay, yeah. You make them feel good about it. Right? Make them feel like you did your part. You're here to help them. Refer them over to another shop that you think they can do it for that price, or down to Bebo's Car Wash, where they get $25 to get you in and out. And so then you move on. Okay. Then you go, okay, well, I got to work today. So maybe I'm calling an existing some of my customers and seeing what business I can stir up. But don't go spend 6 or 8 hours on a $25 interior detail that you're going to lose money on.
And you're also liable for a bad review. If you know they're unpleasable, then that's going to cost you money within itself.
Yeah, and I know we don't want to get into the pricing game, but I'm going to tell you right now, the ones that are willing to pay for your service are the ones that are going to be satisfied with your service. Usually, if you convince somebody to way overpay out of their budget, or even bring your price down to match their budget, those are always the ones that just complain.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
The one thing I was thinking about is, like, when you get that customer that's a first time, right? Yeah. And you're like, okay, this could be a 5-10 year customer, right? And you're looking at the car, it's kind of having that bigger scope of, instead of just that one job. So you're trying to take those positives, those negatives, and say, hey, look, is this going to be a maintenance weekly? Is this going to be something where I'm seeing them once a year? When you're just starting out, I think you got to look at each individual customer as their, you know what I mean? Really dive into it in as much detail as you can, because you're just trying to build your customer base. You know what I mean? And maybe in the beginning, not every customer is going to be a 5-star customer, right?
That's right.
But having those other ones that are going to be like, look, it's a pain in the butt, but we're there every week. You know what I mean? Doesn't tip or doesn't do this, or he kind of complains a little bit, but you know what?
He's there. He's loyal.
Yeah. It's kind of in the beginning. It's kind of blow yourself a little bit and understand, look, as I grow, I still want to be able to service it, because as a thank you, it's like, how can I take care of, you know what I mean? It's interesting when you're just starting out.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point, Nick, and I don't even think you realized it. So, okay, so the sticker shock comes from that initial detail. So whether it should be ceramic coating or whatnot, or whatever it is, every detail outside after that doesn't have to be that detail. Like it could go down to the maintenance, and we offer like a 50% off monthly maintenance. If you do our maintenance within 30 days, it's half off. So we're talking, we're back down to that $40, $50 detail now. Okay. Yeah. We've now brought it to your budget, but what we want to do is get it up to our standard, get it up to where we can maintain this at a reasonable rate. So we're not spending 8 hours to detail it for $50. We're spending 45 minutes to detail it for $50, or whatever. And so, like, getting them past that, don't be so fixated on that number one job, but helping them understand that, yes, you're going to pay on the front end. Yes, the cost is going to be higher than you probably realized or thought it would be. But think about this long term when we get 6 months to a year down and you're paying 40 or 50 or 60 or $80 for an in and out. Now the price is caught back up to what you were willing to spend on a yearly basis anyway.
And the one thing for me is, like, how do you know, right? How do you know where you're like, okay, now I'm setting the market versus, right? And for me, it was when you start seeing all the, hey, I had this guy do it, I got to fix it. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For if you're there by one man show, right? As soon as you're starting to get calls, I'm like, hey, I took it to this guy down the street. It just wasn't great. You know what I mean? Or they didn't do a great job. Once you start getting all those calls, then okay, the reputation is somewhere out there. You might not even know from where. It might be a person, it might be online, it might be your website, it might be something you convey. They're looking for you because they see you as an elevated service, and sort of working towards that. And I think is really important to sort of try and see where you're at in your own market.
You know when when you've kind of made it to that point when in your little local Facebook groups like Voices of Saraland's our little city group, and there's like a bunch of them around here, and inevitably someone goes in there and says, looking for someone to detail my car, doesn't want to pay an arm and a leg, like under $100, and you're not tagged 100 times. Like, that's when okay, they get it now. All right, so like please, I'm like cringing anytime somebody says, that's not ridiculously high, and then people tag me and I'm like, man, don't tag me on that because I already know what this customer's about. I need a perfect job. I just don't want to pay for it.
I think that's a really cool marketing thing too. Just so you know, like if there's anyone just starting out, you've got a small shop and you're like, hey, we're kind of slow. What can we do in some free time? You join those groups.
Join the groups,
and you're gonna get a couple posts a week of like random people. Just hey, anyone know where detail services? And you just post
absolutely
your own place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I see a lot of small places in my area do that. I follow all the groups. I don't really post too much. But it's like you can sort of see where it's coming from.
No, absolutely. And so we used to chase the groups all the time. And like a lot of those are looking for the bargain shop. They're the bargain shoppers. And so you do grow out of that. But I mean, I say grow out of that. You do determine that, like in our area at least, like the people in those groups are looking for that cheap detail. And so now that we've noticed that, after years of being in those groups and using that to heavily market towards that, that's really not our ideal customer. Let's talk about planes. Let's talk about planes real quick. So when we talk about, giving a price, do we give it, is it to the owner? Is it to the pilot? How does that work? Like, who's getting sticker shock here?
It's a case by case.
Okay.
And sometimes it's direct owner, like just last week. Direct owner, and actually this week, and so fully happy. I mean, actually, I almost kind of kicked myself because I thought I was coming in high.
He agreed,
and he had
quickly.
A specific brand aircraft that it's like they got money. If they've got one of these,
they let you know.
And especially for what you're getting, it's not a jet, but still, it's a $750,000 plane.
Sure.
You're like, okay, they're not gonna balk at our price for ceramic coating and whatnot. So. And I even threw it kind of high, and he's like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." And
sure, it was way too fast. Way too fast.
You also get the pilots. The I call them PICs, pilots in charge of the aircraft. They manage the aircraft, and you could tell they're on a budget, or they have incentivization or some kind of incentives to keep it as low as possible, because maybe at the end of the year they get a kickback from the owner that
if you didn't spend this budget, you get a percentage of what you save.
You almost think like, you never save. You're like, it's not even your money, bro. Come on, like, why are you nickel and diming me, man?
Exactly.
But for the most part, you still get that sticker shock. But where we're starting to see that difference, and I think there's some correlation with what you're saying in the automotive perspective, is we're starting to get that reputation of these aren't just standard details.
Sure.
Yep. People are willing to pay for the AMP, the AMPIA, the pilot, the aviator experience of knowing my asset, because a lot of them are genuine assets.
Absolutely.
It's going to be in good hands, and I'm not going to get any mess ups. My systems are going to be perfectly fine, and they're thinking about it from a professional expert opinion
and willing to pay for it.
Absolutely.
Willing to pay for it. That story brought up a funny story of mine. It's not even mine story, but a good buddy of mine, Joel Palm. He's probably watching. He usually watches, and I'm probably going to butcher this story, but I'll try it anyway. So a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, they had an opportunity to do a very large sport fishing boat down in Miami, maybe, or Orlando or somewhere. And so so they were going to do this promo event, and they're going to ceramic coat this boat. And so he was working up the price. They spent like a week coming up with the price for this thing. And he says he calls the guy up and he gives him the price immediately, like before he could even get the final word out of the total amount. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, son of a, I knew I should have charged more. So we all still have those. I mean, you think about Joel Palm, big business owner, knows his stuff inside and out, and to have that moment. So, us detailers, we all experience that. Mm-hmm. And, we think we cover in on the high side, but then there's some people that say, hey, they're willing to pay whatever, for quality and confidence, and know you're going to go in and do a great job. So
absolutely,
they're few and far between. You deal with most of the people that are price conscious, that you really have to show the value, that you really have to build that that rapport with them and them understand why it is they may be paying more with you than they are from the next guy. But once you understand and establish yourself in that market, and that's how you're viewed, then it does become an easier sell, and you experience a little less sticker shock.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you feel like, again, with the sticker shock, it's like, because again, it sounds like you guys are going big game hunting sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I'm over here. I'm like, I don't do a lot of big game hunting.
You're casting the net.
You know what I mean? We do that. I play that, law of averages. You know what I mean? I'll have 10, 20, 30 ceramic coatings, right? And I'm like, okay, some are going to be harder than others. Some are going to be easier than others. But that that price baseline is built in just because I know where that number's at.
Yeah.
Versus like, again, I'll do custom quotes, but it's like, those are like big game hunting quotes.
Yes.
And you're like, damn it, I should have charged more. That's, you know what I mean? I feel like I don't get that feeling. I don't get that fun feeling.
Right. Well, it's never fun because immediately you're like, oh, did I miss something? You know, like, oh shit, what did I miss? And those big jobs. I know we're not talking about big jobs, but I think me and you may have had this discussion at one of our things. Is like, big jobs can be really good, or they can be really, really bad. And for someone that's not, prepared and understand how to get a big job done like that, it can quickly turn into a negative or a loss situation.
Pictures and videos like crazy,
Absolutely.
Especially whenever, we've got a call just recently to go to California to do a very popular jet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to let all that out yet, but
sure.
That case, we know what we're working with. We know the owners and the team
the plane.
There's been another, substantial size aircraft that you're kind of going into the dark. You're talking to them on the phone, and the customers, hey, it's in great shape and this and that. And then you get up to it and you're like, crap, what did we get ourselves into? We underbid this, and that's the biggest thing, is just having that, all the ins and outs. Send me videos,
get as
send
much
me
information as you can.
Absolutely. And let them know why you're kind of asking for all that. Because sometimes it comes off like an inconvenience to them, but hey, I want to make sure I'm meeting your expectations. So if you could give me as much information about your aircraft, the genuine condition, and we're both happy. You know what I mean?
Think about the customer that doesn't want to help you give them an accurate price. What is their real agenda? If they don't want to help you give them an accurate price, their agenda is to get something quick, get you committed, so so they get the best deal around. And hold your feet to the fire on stuff like that. So like the ones that are willing and understand, like, I need certain information from this, or I need to be able to to take a look. And us, so for boats, it's test spots. We'll give you a price, an estimate. And then what we do is we bring them back to the shop and we run a test spot on them. And then we give you, okay, so here's what it's going to be. The ones that aren't willing to do that, then you don't want to do business with anyway. Those are the ones that tell you just need a good coat of wax or something. And, it never just needs a good coat of wax. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, ever.
We were at Sun and Fun at the booth over there in Lakeland, Florida, second biggest air show in the country. And we had a guy from a state, I'm not going to say which state.
Sure.
For one of our locations out there that's now open. And talking to him at the booth, man, aircraft's in great shape. It's got 20-year-old paint or 30-year-old paint. Looks phenomenal, though. It's great. And we finally got things orchestrated out to where we can get over there and get them taken care of with our location that's out there. And he sends me pictures, and I'm like, you're going to need a new paint job. Like there's spots where if we hit that with the polisher, that it's just going to poof. It's going to turn into dust, and you're going to see nothing but bare aluminum underneath, but I mean, it's in good shape for being 30 years old. Well, maybe that's the case, but you didn't portray it like that,
So and sometimes the sticker shop, I call that job shock. Like, oh shit, we messed up. Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, and sometimes the customers honestly don't know. They think it's in great shape.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's sometimes a road you got to walk them back on and be like, look, it looks great, but the actual condition of your paint, you actually have no clear coat left. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go through some different conversations with them to sort of walk them back on it, and without offending them, because they could be there and they're like, man, my classic car is in perfect shape. Just polish it, ceramic coat. I'm like, I can't.
It's like the ugly kid syndrome, like if you got a child that if you're, you think that's the most beautiful daughter in the world, but in all actuality, everybody's like, goodness, that's a sea donkey of a child. Like, you know what I mean? But that's kind of how they view their prized possessions and their planes that were passed to them from their father. You know what I mean? Like, she's beautiful. Look at her, and it's like, whoa. Like, I don't want to go down that road. But anyways.
I had a conversation with a guy earlier. We're kind of wrap it up here. And so a buddy of mine, Houston Shine, is I saw he made a post on Facebook asking about sales team. And then he sends me a message and he asked me, Dustin, do you have a sales team that works with you or that you've hired? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, how does that work? And so I think it plays into this conversation, right? Hiring a sales guy, hiring a sales team or a salesperson. How does that work when you're selling your service and how do you go from me selling everything to passing that off to someone else? Nick, do you actively are you actively selling your services, or is yours how does that work?
We got an awesome team, sort of at the front there where they're answering phones, they're dealing with customers face to face. But it's also giving that sales team the resources they need to be successful, right? You could have the best salesman in the world, but if you don't give them from the marketing to, something the customer can take, to the menu that's easy to use, to all these different things that convey your message, that's my message, right? Easily to the customer through that sales team, you're not going to get the conversions you want.
No, not at all. You've got to give them the tools. And my biggest suggestion is keep it simple. Like everybody wants to overcomplicate it because they're trying to justify a price that they're not confident in charging. They want to overcomplicate what it is they're doing. Dude, at the end of the day, we're making cars shiny and taking all the French fries out from under the seats. Like, that's it. Okay, that is it. Shiny, protect, get the French fries out. That's our job.
Yep.
So we're not here to tell them the type of vacuum that we're using or the type of polishing pads and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. The customer just wants to know how shiny is it? How shiny is it going to be? And is there going to be any French fries left? Okay.
One or two, you know what I mean? You gotta be okay.
That's our maintenance one. We leave 2 French fries behind every maintenance just
to make sure you check.
Just to make sure. No, but so a sales team is all about simplifying this process, simplifying what it is you do, understanding the customer's pain points, identifying what's causing the customer to be questioning about a detail anyway. Like, what is it that's bringing them to you, and then selling them on that pain point. So understand, is it tree sap? Is it staying in the seat? Is it kids in the back? What is the pain that brought them to you? And then what do we sell to that? So, and then again, understanding value and what it is that your business brings to the table, and that may help reduce sticker shock. So bringing it all full circle, sticker shock's going to happen as you raise your prices. It's probably not happening much if you're a new guy in the business. You're probably one of the cheaper ones around, rightfully so. We all start that way, or most of us do anyway. But as you evolve and as your business grows, you're going to experience sticker shock. And I think the common message is to learn how to show value, not over explain, but teach that customer why you charge what you charge.
And again, I think it's letting that customer make the decision, right? Yeah. Because of the foot traffic that we have, our sales model is really to not over push. It's kind of like, hey, this is what it is. If you want it, you want it. You know what I mean? Right. It's really hands off. Because they're already coming through, right? If they're already walking through, they're already spending money. They already trust us.
That's right.
We just want to make sure that information is easily conveyed to them so that they can go make a decision if it's something that's important to them. Yep. And if I can't create that value for them, that's okay too. You know what I mean? That might not be the right customer for that type of detail.
And a lot of it comes from confidence from the person delivering the price. So if you don't have a sales team and you're the one giving the price, it's a confidence thing. Like, how confident in you are you of that price? Like, do you understand why you're charging that much? Do you understand the value that you bring? And when you go at that confidently and say, this is what it is, this is why, then that customer gains confidence from you, and then you can see the conversion percentage grow. So, anything else you want to add, Josh?
No. I mean, yeah.
Just do not not get enough pictures of the planes or the boats, and make sure you get enough information. It looks like we got a comment coming in from my buddy Joe LaPalm. The quote was here we go. I knew I'd get it from him. The quote was $35,000. He was quick to say yes. I asked him why he was so fast to say yes. He said that my $35,000 quote is not even a quarter. Is that 35,000? Yeah, it's not even a quarter tank of gas. So understand who and what you are also doing, and do some homework. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A quarter of a tank of fuel for this, and here we are, detailing our ceramic coating the whole boat, and that's a quarter of a tank of fuel. That is a quarter of a tank of fuel.
Well, now he's going to want you to do it again for that price every 6 months.
Yeah, you know right. What I mean? Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. No, that story is always funny. I mean, it's funny because, we can always laugh at our own pain, but we all do that. We all miss on jobs. So, guys, go at it with confidence. Make sure you understand the job, but make sure you understand the value that you bring to your market. And
one thing that came to mind, just technical enough to keep their attention while you're giving your spiel.
Absolutely.
And enough to slightly educate.
Yeah.
Just to where they understand the art behind what you're doing, the technicality that, you know what I mean? At least from the aviation perspective. And that seems to always, because at first when we're at Sun and Fun, our pitch changed from the first day to the half point to the end, and we like fine tuned it to getting reactions, and it seemed like just enough technicality.
And every customer is a little different too, and so you can't just stand up here and say this is how you treat every customer that walks in. Some guys that's his baby, you know what I mean. He may want to know what it is you're using or what is your process, but chances are the mom of the minivan don't care. You know what I mean? She just wants it clean. She get the French fries out front.
Get those French fries, man.
Get the French fries, man. Come on.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea.
All right, what you got?
Just get you a little coupon and say, hey, we saw that you're inspecting our work. Here's a 5% discount. And stick it underneath the seat. Glad you're checking the work. There you go. Redeem
it. And it looks like a French fry, right?
There you go. Yeah,
we caught you looking.
Gotcha.
That is great. That is great. We're gonna have to. You need to trademark that. All right, man. Nick, you got anything else for us, brother?
No, we're ready to rock for the week. Just want to give a shout out to Detail Bookie. You know what I mean? Last 2 months, right? It's not snowing. It's not raining. We finally hit a little bit of spring, summer. So big shout out to Detail Bookie. Couldn't have done the last couple months without it. So it's makes my life so much easier, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. It's back. It's good back to get on air with you, man. I enjoyed the conversation. We had to take a couple weeks off. SDC was there, and then
you're always traveling. You're on a plane, a boat. I don't even know what country.
Plane, train.
I've got a tough life. It's just hard. It's hard being Dustin Jackson.
Surprisingly enough. All right, man. Great show as always. Thank you, brother. We'll see y'all next.